You don't get many chances to say that this person is the best person in the world in this lifetime. There's a lot of people who say, I love you, I love this, I love that, and unfortunately, they have compressed and overused the word love. You have no credibility when it comes to the word love anymore. When you say this is the best person in the world, I don't think that saying has been used up yet, like the word love. I don't really hear too many people saying, damn, this person is the best in the world. Well, I have 6 people on a list that are the best in the world. And I don't think that there's absolutely anyone who could challenge me on any 6 of them. Maybe the last 2, possible. I think it's unlikely. Remember, if you're a fan of me, you know I don't just talk without evidence. I don't make moves unless I have evidence. Quadruple evidence, by the way. I need strong evidence. I need data. I need numbers. I need, what did you do last year with this amount of money before I decide to give you this amount of money? I need that. Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is the best basketball player in the world. Process. Do not think to respond. Think to process. Break down every word. Break it down in syllables. Michael Jordan is the best basketball player in the world. Keyword, emphasize the world. W-O-R-L-D. Big black letters that are highlighted in yellow and red. World. Not Chicago, not Illinois, not the United States of America, the world. There will never ever be another basketball player like Michael Jordan. We could talk about why I chose him at the end of this YouTube video. It's actually quite simple. You just go to youtube.com and in the search bar type in Michael Jordan. The top 50 plays will come in, the rings will come in, but let's talk about that later. That's a fact of life. You cannot take that away from Michael Jordan, and you cannot take that away from me. Michael Jordan is the best basketball player in the world. Number 2, Mike Tyson is the best boxer in the world. Again, we could talk about that at the end of this YouTube video. Again, it's kind of simple. You just go to youtube.com and in the search bar, type in Mike Tyson. You'll see all the knockouts. You'll see his arm. You'll see how... We'll talk about that later. Number 3, the best agency on planet Earth, or the best agency in the world, CIA. Well, can't find that on YouTube, but allow me to explain that later at the end of this YouTube video. Just take my word for it. They're the best in the world. I'll go over that because I know some may. I think some at the NSA are just you again, huh? Oh, hold on. I love you too, by the way. I love the NSA. Stop it. I love Jesus. I love God, but the Holy Spirit. Come on, hold on. Hold on. Number 4. And I don't agree with this, but just because I don't agree with it doesn't mean it's not true. It's a reality. It's an unfortunate reality, but it is a reality. Rapper King Von. Rapper King Von has lived that life. He's from Chicago. He's from O Block. Some of you may know it as Parkway Gardens. The rap that I grew up on was to talk about politics, to make a difference, a positive change. That's the rap I grew up on. Chuck D, Public Enemy, Scarface, Ice Cube, Ice-T. Positive change. Queen Latifah, UNITY, something positive through the microphone. King Von and some other rappers in another department, their goal was the opposite. Their goal was to talk about how many murders that they committed and how many bodies that they have underneath their belt. I'm not a fan of that, obviously. I don't believe in murder. But if you do want to talk about who lived the realest life and who accomplished that, there's no other rapper in the world that has accomplished what King Von has accomplished. He's King Von. That's the best rapper in the world as far as living that life goes. He wasn't lying. He was telling the truth. Number 5. I'm going to lose a lot of people on this, but this is definitely and certainly worth the conversation, especially for the times that we're living in now. I'm definitely going to lose you guys on the number 5 pick. But don't worry, we'll talk about it. The best vice president in the world is Dick Cheney. I ain't kidding you. Let's come back to that. Those are 5 picks that I don't believe no one can take away from me. Let's just take away that one for now, because it's not true. No, I believe it. We have 5. The best lawyer in the world, without a doubt in my mind, former U.S. Attorney Patrick Fitzgerald. I decided to do this YouTube video because there are a lot of kids in this year who are doing YouTube videos on Leticia James. Back in 2013, I was very frustrated, and I always said out loud hundreds of times, why are you fuckers focusing on sports? America is falling apart. We have problems in 2013. Let's focus on our public officials so we could make our environment a better place. No one really paid attention to me. They were all watching football and baseball. And I just couldn't believe my eyes when I stared at the TV watching some guy in tights hit a ball with a stick and run around in the circle. I just couldn't believe how many millions of people were focusing on that, and they weren't paying attention to what was going around them. It was a difficult time for me for that reason. Now, speeding up, approximately 15 years later, 12 years later, YouTube has gotten even bigger. Now we have way too many fucking people focusing on politics. Not bad. I'd rather see you focus on politics instead of millionaires in sports. So I got what I wanted. I'm not quite there yet, but it's okay because I'm kind of out of the game, enjoying life. But now, even though I got what I wanted and they're not focusing on sports as much as they used to, now they're focusing on politics, and the ones who are focusing on politics, they're divided. Maybe in another 10 more years, they'll figure it out. We could come back to this YouTube video because I seem to always get what I want, just not when I want. I remember a lot of people used to tell me that. You always do get what you want, just not when I want. So there are a few kids, and when I say kids, I mean they are in their teens. They are 20s, in their 20s. They are doing a lot of videos on Leticia James, and they are doing a really good job. They are actually pulling up court documents. They're showing it on the screen. They're pulling up transcripts. They're pulling up bank loans. I don't know how they're doing this, by the way, but these kids are pulling up a lot of evidence. And I'm really impressed of what they're doing. And the reason why I'm doing this video is in hopes that they could understand who was former U.S. Attorney Patrick Fitzgerald. What would former U.S. Attorney Patrick Fitzgerald have done? Patrick Fitzgerald is a lawyer. Patrick Fitzgerald is the definition of integrity. Patrick Fitzgerald is the definition of honesty. You can trust him. Patrick Fitzgerald is the definition of a soldier, of a fucking hardcore Marine. Patrick Fitzgerald was the definition of communication, of control. Patrick Fitzgerald, to sum it up, and I could be here for a long time explaining words that I believe when people Google, his face should pop up. Patrick Fitzgerald was the definition of fairness and the law. You would never ever make Patrick Fitzgerald's radar unless you did one thing, and that was break federal laws. Patrick Fitzgerald did not give one flying fuck about your political views. I'll prove that too in a couple minutes. Patrick Fitzgerald certainly didn't give a shit about your stupid skin color. He didn't care what music you listened to or performed. He didn't care about your religion. Patrick Fitzgerald pretty much walked around the city of Chicago with a blindfold on him. And that blindfold came off the second that he found out you broke a federal crime. You committed a federal crime. And that's a beautiful thing. That's how the law works. That's how the law is supposed to work. Now these days, when the news reports this person allegedly committed this crime, we don't even look into what crime that person allegedly committed. Now what we look into is, what's the name of this person and what political party is this person associated with? We don't say that out loud. But when we ask who this person is, we're really saying, is that person on my side? It's not the way it's supposed to work. Even with Leticia James, whether I like her or whether I don't. We'll talk about her too. I promise you. I'm fair. You know that. When you bring up, and I never like to talk for people, because I think that's rude, I think that's ignorant. But in my case right now, I'm very comfortable saying out loud what Patrick Fitzgerald would have done in the Leticia James case. It's pretty much the same thing that he did with all his other cases. When you bring up the mafia, you and me, we think Goodfellas. We think Casino. We think Joe Pesci. We think pizza. We think it's fun. We think our childhood movies. I watched it 100 times, each movie. It brings back good memories. James Comey said in an interview, the mafia wasn't cool. The mafia was dangerous. Patrick Fitzgerald prosecuted the mafia. Patrick Fitzgerald put away the Gambino family, if I'm not mistaken. Now, to someone like you and me, we'll just say, no. Yeah, no, he really did. The mafia, they were active. The 70s, the 80s, they were very powerful. You and me will say, I like Casino. I'm not buying it. But at that time, when Patrick Fitzgerald was active, that was a very dangerous job for him. You have the mafia who's bringing in millions and millions of dollars, and back then millions was like probably equivalent to quadruple millions. You don't think that they thought to themselves, Well, this Patrick Fitzgerald guy is on our ass. Patrick Fitzgerald didn't care. He wasn't bothered by it. He wasn't bothered by Guido. Patrick Fitzgerald saw that they're capable of putting a bomb in this motherfucker's car. He didn't care. I'm sure somewhere along the lines he had to think to himself, well, what if this motherfucker comes after me? He didn't care. It's a big difference when you're watching a movie versus it happening to you. If you owned a business, which you probably never would, but if you did own a business and you brought in a lot of money, how would you feel if Guido came to your business and said, hey, you're going to give us $100,000? I'm sorry, I should have turned this off. How would you feel if Guido came and said, hey, you're going to give us $100,000 every month? Well, you wouldn't like that. All of a sudden, those movies for Casino and Goodfellas, you would have just been like, what the fuck, fuck this shit, I'm calling 911. Then 911 came. Then an investigator would get the case. And then eventually they'd give it to the FBI. Then the FBI, they'd give it to Patrick Fitzgerald. And then you would know who Patrick Fitzgerald is. You'd be telling him, please, I can't be shaken down. I'm already being shaken down by the government. And Patrick Fitzgerald would help you and do his job. The bottom line is, putting away and dealing with the mafia was very extremely dangerous at that time, and that's where the soldier comes in with Patrick Fitzgerald. He's not bothered by it. Patrick Fitzgerald put away former Governor George Ryan. Now try to pay close attention because this is extremely important. Former Governor George Ryan sold illegal CDL driver's licenses to people who didn't take the tests. So to make a long story short, you know those big semi-trucks driving down the streets? Well, you typically need to have school time. You typically need a certain amount of school time. You typically need to pass a numerous amount of written and physical tests. Those tests are there for our safety. Do you really want someone like me driving a semi-truck down the street without having a license and going through the proper channels? Well, no, you don't. George Ryan, unfortunately, got caught selling illegal driver's licenses, and one of those people, at the very least, crashed the truck and caused an accident. A whole entire family have lost their lives. Most of them young children. Imagine your kid in the backseat of a car. All of a sudden, a semi-truck comes smashing into them. Well, you're going to want to know what happened, right? Patrick Fitzgerald would have been your man back then. You'd be talking to him to get justice/revenge for what they did to your kids. The beautiful thing about George Ryan is he was a Republican. Patrick Fitzgerald didn't care. The beautiful thing about George Ryan is he was the governor in the state of Illinois, the third largest market in the United States of America. Patrick Fitzgerald didn't care. A governor in the state of Illinois can change your life. He or she, especially now these days, they could have a corporation through a third party, fourth party write you a check, and no one would ever be able to prove it. Patrick Fitzgerald didn't care. He prosecuted George Ryan, and George Ryan went to prison for his role in it. That's a soldier. Right now in this day and age, not to get political, but I think it's safe to say that a Republican can get a pardon somewhat fast. So you're probably saying to yourself, well, Patrick Fitzgerald sounds like a Democrat. Oh, no, honey. No. Here comes Rod Blagojevich and his Democrat ass, which I never believed he was a Democrat. I think he just says he's a Democrat because he has no choice. And there's a lot of people in Illinois who say they're Democrats, that they have to win the vote, to trick people who look like me. Rod Blagojevich is clearly on tape, and I quote, if I'm not mistaken, I quote, "I'm not just giving it away for nothing. I could always parachute myself there. I got this thing and it's fucking golden." That's not political horse trading. That's the former governor who has access to appoint someone for a job that pays a lot of money, and he's trying to trade it for $250,000. Back then, I think that was equivalent to $1 million. You don't want corruption. That's why migrants have came to America, because their other hometown is filled with corruption. We could talk about that later. There's something you never talk about on YouTube, is it? Patrick Fitzgerald went after Rod Blagojevich, and he was a Democrat, so he says anyway. Patrick Fitzgerald went after aldermen. Patrick Fitzgerald went after Richard Daley's guys, and Daley's guys were all Irish. Patrick Fitzgerald is Irish. Didn't mean anything to him. It's a very sentimental value thing for me, because I grew up in a goddamn good generation. I had Patrick Fitzgerald, I had Michael Jordan, I had Mike Tyson, I had Dick Cheney. I grew up in a great time with some great, real, strong leaders. And I think that's why I get depressed, because I had all my fun, and now I'm growing up, and I'm just sitting back like, oh man, I thought it was going to get better. And it's getting worse. And I think where the therapy comes in for me is, Eric, just appreciate the times that you did grow up in. Just appreciate the icons and the figures that God and or the universe put in your world. I end the Patrick Fitzgerald conversation with this, and then I'll move on to talk about my 5 picks. I don't give advice to kids. I don't like to give advice, believe it or not. One of the reasons why I don't do that is because if anything happens, I'm not the one who's going to have to deal with the fallout. I'm not the one who's going to be there to fix the problem. The only advice that I can give, if you're willing to listen and willing to take it, is before you make a move, think about the worst case scenario and ask yourself, is that something that you can live with? Before you make a move with politics and you're talking about the law and the Constitution, go to YouTube and check out Patrick Fitzgerald. Study him. Study his cases. Study his behavior. Energy creates energy. When I was young, I always heard parents say, you may not smoke weed now, but if you hang out with people who do smoke weed and your best friend does smoke weed, it's only a matter of time till you start smoking weed. Energy creates energy. When you run, you're creating energy, and you may want to run a little bit more. When you work out, just do a few lifts, you may want to create, you're creating energy, and it's going to give you the capability of doing a few more lifts. If I'm confident, after watching some of the kids' videos on Leticia James, if you watch Patrick Fitzgerald, I'm confident that you're going to feel something. You're going to be like, what the fuck? If I was ever a lawyer, That's the type of lawyer that I would want to be. Honestly, if you really want the truth, Patrick Fitzgerald, he is everything that I wanted to be when I was young, as far as being a good person goes. And he had fucking friends. Patrick Fitzgerald, speaking about energy, YouTube wasn't around back then. Patrick Fitzgerald, he had energy, he had people, and I could tell they came from him. At the very least, they certainly were hanging out with him. Patrick Fitzgerald had Robert Grant, the former FBI director and the former field director. Robert Grant ran the FBI in Chicago. Sharp guy. So fucking sharp. Honest. An honest guy, laid back. As a matter of fact, all Patrick Fitzgerald's friends or colleagues, they were laid back. You could not rattle their game. As a matter of fact, I think the only time that I've ever seen any of them get mad was probably with the Rod Blagojevich case and the George Ryan case, but that's a reason to get mad. When you grew up in the 80s and the 90s, there was a thing called trash talk. And this is what a lot of people don't understand about me. They're starting to learn it, but let me just admit it out loud now. In the 90s, we trash talked a lot. You guys call it trolling now in 2025. Not the same. Trolling is trying to hurt, in my opinion, I could be wrong. I'm not from your generation. Trolling is when you're trying to hurt someone and you know that's where it's going to lead to. Trash talking is when you're trying to get into someone's head. Michael Jordan, people say he was the #1 trash talker in the whole NBA. Well, no, I believe that. And they also said he did it when the camera wasn't there. He would do it in a slick way. We trash talk. And one of the reasons why we did that, besides our own personal entertainment, is we wanted to get you off your game. We wanted to see how far we can push you. We wanted to see if you were insecure. There weren't that many insecure people back then. Now there's a handful of insecure people. I could say one thing to one person now these days and they start to cry. They'll call my girl. They'll say, why did they ever call me this? They'll start making phone calls to other people. It's easy for me to troll someone right now and make someone get just, it's very easy. At that time, it was not. You had to work for it. You had to stay on it. Patrick Fitzgerald's friends, I've only seen them get upset 2 times, and I felt their pain. That was when you were supposed to be upset. As a matter of fact, any human being who is not upset, I start to question what's wrong with you. When Governor Ryan sold those licenses and those kids killed, you could see the eyes of the former prosecutor, Patrick Collins. You could see they weren't happy. A family has lost their life. So yeah, you're supposed to have that by nature. Patrick Fitzgerald had Jody Weiss. He had Ross Rice. He had Robert Grant. He had Patrick Collins. Those are 4 men that I've always wanted to be when I was younger. When it comes to angel wings, angel points, just be honest. I really think everyone should look them up. Patrick Collins, especially. Oh man, yeah. Oh man, I'm starting to tear up. I miss those days. Those were 4 good, honest people. Certainly the fucking best, man. They were the best. You see interviews with Ross Rice back then. He just had this sharpness when he talks. You pay a fucking attention. You just wonder, like, there's just something about them when they talk. But moving forward, let me check this to see. Yeah, okay. Please stop texting me, motherfuckers. I hate pushing. Stop. All right. So, kids, pay attention to Patrick Fitzgerald. Let's talk about the Leticia James case. Then we're going to talk about why my 5 picks are where they are. Then I got to go. Leticia James. 1. I'm not a fan of hers, but don't worry about that. We'll talk about that after I talk about the first things. If Patrick Fitzgerald was running that case, actually, I'm not going to say that. If I was a lawyer and I learned everything from Patrick Fitzgerald, as I think I have, and if I was in a position, I pull up the Leticia James case, as some of you guys are doing, which made me do this video. I don't want to know her political view. I don't want to know about her as a person. We'll deal with her as a person later, because I do believe it's relevant, but that's not what I want to know right now. I want to see the forms. I want to see the contracts. I want to see the bank statements. I want to see the loans. I just want to see the evidence. And that's all I want to see right now. I'll go in your favor. I'm not a fan of her, and I'll tell you why later, but I'm not going to lock her up because I'm not a fan of her. Me being not a fan of someone does not give me a reason to lock them up, and I promise you I'm capable of putting those aside. And quite frankly, I shouldn't even have to. I shouldn't even know about Leticia James' political views. I should only know about the evidence. You kids have pulled up documents and prosecutors have pulled up documents that says she committed bank fraud. Okay. We'll put away your motive right now. We'll put away that it was years ago. We'll come back to that too, because that's important to me, by the way. Did she or did she not commit bank fraud? Yes or no? That's what I learned from Patrick Fitzgerald in my fantasy world of my hypothetical me being in charge. That's what I would ask my team. That's what I would ask the FBI. Did she? Agent would come by and say, yeah, she did. She put down that she was fucking her dad. Excuse me? I'm sorry. She put down that her dad was her spouse. Okay? A little weird, but I hope she's not fucking her dad, by the way. But is that a crime? Yes or no? Yeah. You can't put down that you're fucking your dad on the bank statement. Okay. We're done here. And I don't want to hear anything else. I'd call Leticia James and her attorney in my office. I would do that courtesy for her. And I would tell them, hello, Leticia, Miss James, or Mr. I don't even know anymore. Because you put down just hello. Here's a document. It's Exhibit A. That's fraud. Here's the section of the code of the bank fraud that you violated. A and B. Jesus Christ, dude. Guilty. I'll make you a deal. If you plead guilty to this, and you pay back the money, and you resign, I'll recommend probation. I don't think you should be put in prison. And I certainly don't think out of all the years that you spent being an attorney should go out the window. I won't seek that your law license gets revoked. But you cannot be the New York Attorney General with this type of stuff that you just pulled. And you're also not going to prison, and your license won't get revoked. It's A and B, it's cut and dry. You could take your time and what's reasonable and come back at me if you like the deal. If not, I will prosecute you and I will recommend prison time for you wasting my time during trial time. And I will seek to have your license revoked as a private attorney, and you won't be able to practice law in New York. As far as I'm concerned, we're done here. That's what I learned from Patrick Fitzgerald. Would Patrick do that? I don't want to speak for him, but more than likely, something like that. And that's it. And hopefully the rest of the world who watches Leticia James and her case, they'll learn not to put down that they're fucking their spouse is their father. And that's it. Any questions? Because I already know what you guys are going to say, by the way. I hear them all right now. I just pissed off a handful of people. Oh no, how am I going to go swimming in my pool and make music in a studio? Jeez, oh, I pissed you off? I just got done telling people to stop fucking texting me and stop calling me. You don't think I can make new friends, asshole? I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to do the right thing. What? Go ahead and say it. Well, that was old. Yeah, it was old. You want to open up that door? I certainly will fucking open up that door. You want the truth? The only reason why this is coming about is because Leticia James went after Donald Trump. And Donald Trump did pretty much the same thing that you done, Leticia James did, but on steroids. He inflated the property in New York. Is Donald Trump alone? See, I just got off the fucking point. See, I'm falling for the trap like you guys are. With politics, you go this way. You could go very easily that way, that way, that way, that way, down. We could just be all over the place. And that's not the job of a U.S. attorney's office. See, I didn't learn nothing from Patrick Fitzgerald. He wouldn't fall for this, and I am. I actually entertained your bullshit. And now I'm talking about politics when we should just be focusing on the document. But I want to be fair. I want to have integrity. I don't want you to think, not that I care about the world and what you try to convince them on. I want you to understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. I want you to be a better person. I want you to maybe grow up to be a lawyer and do the same exact thing, because this is the law. This is not politics. So I'm willing to open up the Donald Trump and the Leticia James. You want to talk about her? I told you I wasn't a fan of her. Why? Well, I'll tell you why I'm not a fan of her. Because years ago, and I'm not a fan of Donald Trump either, if it makes you feel any better. Years ago, Leticia James went on TV and she said, we are going to take down Trump. We are going to take Trump down. When I saw that, I said to myself, you are a New York Attorney General. What the fuck are you focusing on Trump for? What the fuck are you focusing on presidential races for? The New York Attorney General, any Attorney General for that matter, they focus on I'm not going to open up that door. You're not supposed to be focusing on Donald Trump. But okay, she taught me. She has an agenda against Trump. She taught me she doesn't like Donald Trump. She taught me that. I didn't go looking for that information. She made that very clear. Okay. Is that part of your job description to take down Donald Trump as New York Attorney General? Let's just say it is. Let's just say I go along with that. Let's just say I want to be fair to all lawyers who like Leticia James. Because I do, by the way. I consider myself to be a very fair person. Donald Trump inflated his property in New York, Eric. Are you aware of that? Yeah. I believe you. He did. More than likely he did. He did. Now here's my question. Has the hypothetical person in charge, has the hypothetical Patrick Fitzgerald, when did Donald Trump inflate his property in New York? That was years ago. That was decades ago. Why are you just coming at him now? I have to take that in consideration. Leticia James, why are you just going after her now? Well, let's just be honest here. There wasn't a mouse in a church that was focusing on Leticia James' mortgage until after she went after Donald Trump. So they're both responsible for weaponizing, that seems to be the word, weaponizing offices to get political revenge. The crimes that they both committed were years ago. You're both fucking around here. And I'm not stupid. And you're putting me in a very bad fucking position, both of you, by the way. It's not about fraud anymore. Now it's about politics and political and Democrats and Republicans. You're putting me in a very bad position. We're done with that. You want the deal or not? Go roll the dice. Maybe you will find a juror to sympathize with you. I don't think you could walk into a courtroom in a jury and say, oh, hey, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, well, we're here because my political enemy has brought up charges. That's like Rob Blagojevich saying, oh, well, the FBI should play the other wiretaps that they have on me. And he said this multiple times. You'll see that I was trying to do the right thing. No. One day, you decide to rob a bank. You can't go ahead and say, oh, well, last week I didn't rob the bank. Last month I didn't rob the bank. No, we're talking about that one day you robbed the bank, you prick. And you're upsetting me by trying to scam me, by the way. You can't, that's not how laws work. Leticia James committed fraud. Is it the end of her world? I don't think it should be. And that's another thing. I get tired of people who make a mistake and then all of a sudden their whole entire career has to go crashing down. All right. I'm going to go over to 5 because I know you people are going to message me. 1. Michael Jordan. When back in 2013 there was a debate because I hear people saying, no, LeBron James is better. No, you dumbass. When they had the debate with Michael Jordan versus LeBron James, that was meant as a joke. If you ask any person in marketing or PR, they will tell you, yeah, I remember that. That was just to cause a news controversy. That was just to have LeBron James get more attention. Anyone who watched Michael Jordan knows damn well LeBron James didn't come anywhere close. And I'm not even going to talk about the championship rings. Forget that. We don't need to talk about the championship rings. That's very common. Just go to YouTube and type in Michael Jordan and watch his 50 plays. And then go ahead and type LeBron and just sit back and watch. You don't need to listen to me. You don't need to be from my time to see the evidence. The evidence is on YouTube. I do it all the time. I watch LeBron James play like I don't know who he is. Then I watch Michael Jordan play like I don't know who he is. Watch Jordan. It's black and white. And if you say no, there is absolutely no evidence that I could provide you because you're just something wrong with your eyes or something. Mike Tyson. I heard someone say Ali. Look, man, Ali was good. All right, he was good. Move like a butterfly, sting like a bee. He was really good. He had moves. He had a signature. He was amazing. But so was Scottie Pippen. Mike Tyson, there is something with his shoulder. When he hit, you're done. And to make matters worse, Mike Tyson, he's crazy. That's another word that we overuse. It's exaggerated. Oh, that's crazy. We're not even afraid of the word crazy anymore. Mike Tyson, he's the definition of crazy. There's something going on with his head. And I know that because there's something going on with my head. People say that I'm crazy. Yeah, I'm just not, I don't have a shoulder like him. But I think me and him, we just have this thing where we snap instantly. We just have this thing where we don't care. We just have this thing where we fire off. I think one of the only differences is when he fires off, you're gone. It hurts. I would not want to be sitting in the same room as Mike Tyson. I would have to be on my P's and Q's because I know what he could do. He could kill me. He can kill me in one punch. He could kill me with a half a punch. He's very dangerous. I love him. He's dangerous. Again, go to YouTube, type in Mike Tyson. His hits will come up, and he's biting people's ears off. He's a lunatic. I'm telling you, don't debate me with Mike Tyson. King Von. If you go to YouTube, and I already knew this back in 2013 and 2014, he was tweeting about it, for God's sakes. I remember watching those tweets live. I remember thinking, how come the Chicago Police Department is letting him get away with this? Every time he killed someone, he'd tweet about it. King Von has a lot of bodies underneath him. There's something about Chicago where if you're from, you are just you're tough. I don't really care who you are compared to like Alaska and other states. If you live in Chicago, there is something tough about you. You could survive our winters. You could survive. There's something up in the air. King Von was the demon of the demons. King Von is, I guess he was related to the David Barkside, the Black Disciple leader of somewhat. He was a demon. He was fucking absolutely nuts. He was just a natural born killer. You're not going to find a rapper like that. There's no way. The fourth one or the second one, the CIA. Oh boy, this is easy for me to prove. NSA, extremely fucking brilliant. They could find information. God, they're just sharp geniuses. Love them dearly with all my heart. If the NSA gets caught doing something that they're not supposed to do, they'll just get written up, or maybe one of them might get dragged to Congress and get yelled at. No big deal. If the CIA gets caught on doing something that they're not supposed to do, they get tortured. And then it's over. Went that process for a little while. The NSA, they're typically in a nice office gathering all kinds of information. All kinds of information. CIA, they have to get on a plane and go to another country and get information that way. Let that process for a little while. Think about that. Here, they gather information. Okay, it's cool. In English. Imagine going out to another country and you have to learn the language, you have to learn the culture, you have to learn what they eat and the foods, you have to learn just a whole new world and still gather intelligence. I told you that I came with exhibits. CIA's #1 agency on planet Earth. Don't get mad at me. I didn't make this up. I'm just the one observing. What, do you have another person, another agency that beats that? Let me know. Dick Cheney. Then I gotta run. Oh, Jesus Christ. Sometimes I know why people drink, man. Fuck. You know, the #1 problem that we have in this world, there are more dumb people than there are smart people. That's like the #1 domino. There are more dumb people in this world than there are smart people. But it's difficult for me to live here. Sometimes I wish I was dumb and I could be just like you, because I'd be more happier. I'd get along, that's for sure. Patrick who? Yeah? Vice presidents are really not in charge of anything. It's kind of a useless role, to be honest with you. I think the #1 reason why a vice president was created, and I could be wrong, is it was designed for, in case something happens to the president, then the vice president would kick in. No vice president, I'm not going to mention names, no vice president did anything magnificent. It was just for show. And I think intelligent people know that. Dick Cheney. I don't even think Bush was the president and he was in charge. I think it was Dick Cheney. Well, let's just say I'm wrong, which I'm not, but for sake of argument. Dick Cheney, when it came to 9/11, he knew how to handle evil. He knew how to deal with evil. Some of you know, some of you don't. Some of you were there, some of you weren't, but you could picture it. And in case you can't, let me paint you a simple picture that they have painted. Remember, I'll talk about it in a little while. Yeah, I could talk about some of the stuff. Dick Cheney had this program that they called torture, waterboarding. That was torture. Dick Cheney said the same exact thing that I was thinking. No, you know what torture is? Torture is when you're in the Twin Towers and the building is set on fire and you have to decide how you are going to die. Are you going to jump off the window 100 stories high? Or are you going to get burned alive? That's torture. That's not an opinion, that's a fact of life. Right now, you watching this, because I get tired of people looking at me like there's something wrong. It's just getting old. I get tired of people calling me crazy. I get tired of people saying that there's something wrong with me. At first, okay, I don't care. Second, you mean nothing to me. Now, it's starting to bother me. It really is. What's crazy is how that National Guard girl lost her life on Thanksgiving. What's crazy is how her father is making funeral arrangements. That's crazy. What's crazy is when you see her picture on YouTube, and now she's about to be put in the dirt. That's crazy. See, Dick Cheney, he knew how to handle that. Dick Cheney, and I don't think I learned this from him. I think I was naturally wired this way before, but he certainly made me a lot more fucked up. I mean, or patriot, pick one. Whatever you threw at Dick Cheney and the United States of America, he threw it right back and with more. Anything that you do, he could adapt to. And some. It's not an opinion, that's a fact of life. Now, again, we're going to go all over the place. You're going to sit here and come at me and saying, well, some innocent people got tortured. And I'm going to sit back and say, yeah, I know. Believe me, I know. Just take my word for it. I know. Guilty by association. I'm not taking a chance. Because at the time, during 9/11, when the planes crashed into the Twin Towers, we didn't know what else was going on. We didn't know if there were more future attacks. So we needed to get that information. America needed to get it. The citizens needed to get it. The CIA needed to get it. Dick Cheney needed to get it. Special Ops needed to get it. There were a lot of people seeking information. And why? Well, to keep you safe. think the problem with a lot of you people, and it's not your fault fully, you don't realize freedom comes with a price. Freedom is not really free the way the federal government and the military makes it out to be. They just make it look so fucking easy. I think the problem that we have is you walk out of your house every single fucking day, and I could relate. Sometimes I do the same shit. You walk out of your house every fucking day, and you don't realize why you get to roam around. You get to roam around because of the United States government. You get to roam around because of the Marines. You get to roam around because of the National Guard. You get to roam around because of the CIA. You get to roam around because of the FBI. You get to roll around because counterterrorism unit. You get a lot of stuff that you don't even know why. It hasn't even dawned on you. Don't talk to me about Dick Cheney and he's not the #1 vice president, because if we had other vice presidents in charge during 9/11, and I'm not going to mention names, we'd be fucked.